I sell a megaphone to make a few extra dollars. I do public speaking. I've done a lot of writing. And I just sell the paper and sell myself to people. I was born in Southern Ontario, small place, Simcoe, Ontario. Childhood. Lived in town with my parents for till I was 13, and then my mother left my dad. My dad was killed. Moved in with my grandmother in the country. We did everything. We played pool, played baseball, soccer, went to hockey games, went swimming. My mother made sure we always had money to go somewhere and do something. You know, we're off doing something.
And then you were on a baseball team, or was it softball?
Softball, yeah. I played softball my whole life.
And you won the provincial title?
Well, that was after I moved in with my grandma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what happened? What do you know why your mother left and what all that happened there?
Yeah, I read the note that she read my dad. I read the note that she left my dad when she left. I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard voices. My father was a truck driver, and so I ran downstairs to greet him because he did a run to Montreal, and I wanted to say hi. I thought he was home after he'd be gone for a couple of days.
Sure.
And I got most of the way down the stairs. My mother caught me before I got all the way down. She told me that he wasn't home. And I was sure he was, so I went back to bed. Still sure that he was home, but had to believe her, so I went back to bed and got up early in the morning before anybody else, ran down because I wanted to be the first to greet him, and there was no one around. And there was a note on the coffee table, and I read the note that she had left for my dad. My Aunt Donna was in the spare room. She was visiting at the time. And I read the note, and yeah, I know why she left.
And then your dad went looking for her?
Yeah, about a week later, him and his friend Roy. I was out playing in the yard, and he come to me and he asked for a baseball bat. And I'm thinking we're going to play ball. My dad has never, he's only been to one game my whole life. And I'm thinking we're going to play baseball, him and his buddy Roy. He said, so do you know where to get a bat? And I said, oh, Byron DeClark across the road. I go over there, I go over to Byron's. So I run over, get the bat, give it to my dad. I'm thinking, he opens up the trunk, throws it in the back of the trunk, shuts the trunk down, and says, thank you. And that was the last time I seen him. He was in a car crash that night. And he was out looking for my mother, and that's what he wanted the bat for.
So then what happened with you?
Oh, I moved in with my grandma out of the country. And I did my grade 8. This was just during grade 7 when this all happened. And started grade 8, and I'm just normal. It was like before all this happened, but within a year, I was a pothead, alcoholic, delinquent, thieving, lying, SOB. And it just progressed from there. I just acted out. There were times I wouldn't talk to anybody for days and days. I would just sit down on the step at the fire hall where everybody would meet in the village, and I'd sit there all day and not talk. Everybody else would talk, and I'd smoke them pot, just sucking them all up. So for a long time, I didn't say much to anybody.
You must have been arrested a few times.
Geez, yes. Oh yeah. I was in 16 the first time I went to an adult prison. There was no juvenile or YO back then. When you were 16, you went to prison with the men. And,
right.
So yeah, that was the first time I went to prison when I was 16. But I was arrested before that many times. Eventually, I ended up having to leave home. I'd gotten a reputation, and my family. Maybe in my own head, my own paranoia, but just everybody hated me and I had to go. And so for years and years, I never stayed in one town for, 2-3 months tops, and I'd move. I've lived all over North America, just bouncing from town to town for the first little while.
Did you learn a trade? Did you find?
Oh, geez, I owned a taxi for a while. I had my own roofing company. I used to clean tunnels out of the city in Ottawa. I worked for the Institute for Research into Construction in Ottawa. I built farms for the scientists. And I've done a lot of good jobs.
So, what led you to the downtown east side?
Oh, that's a long story. I landed in Victoria with my new baby boy, just born. We were living in Kelowna when he was born, and my wife, 15 years younger than me, she was from Victoria. So after he was born, she wanted to come home, so we moved to Victoria. And I got a job on Bear Mountain. $22 an hour, life was good. Mm-hmm. I know my next boy is on the way, and life is good. I got the best it's ever been. I mean, I hurt myself at work. I was moving some equipment with some guys, and we fell. And it took about a month and a half before my back finally, I couldn't work anymore. And with that, with the job and my family life just deteriorated along with my health. And eventually, I had to leave the island because I couldn't stay too close to her, without harassing her. So or wanting to be with her. Yeah. Over here, I'm safe. I can't just walk over and knock on her door. It's more,
Yeah.
In the beginning, now it's easy for me to, I go and see the kids all the time. But in the beginning, I'd come over here so that I didn't have easy access.
Right.
And I lived on the east side. I didn't have no money to do it, so I didn't have easy access.
So when you say about, just to back up, talking about Bear Mountain, is that the like the development with the golf course and the resort? And so that's fairly recent.
This was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, my little Noah just is turning 7 November 18th, a couple of days.
Wow. And you got 2 kids?
Noah and Nathan, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got into drugs here, or you?
Well, I've been into drugs my whole life.
Okay. Okay. Was it pain medication initially, or was it non-prescription drugs that you were hooked on?
When I came over from Victoria, I was on Percocet and stuff. But after things got bad with my family, I had to come over here. I had to change doctors. I had to get a different doctor, and there was no way that they were going to give me Percocet for my pain because it's the east side. Nobody down here, they don't do that. And so they offered me methadone. And I've known hundreds of people on methadone, and none of them ever get off it. So I didn't see that as an alternative. So I turned to the street for my crack and marijuana and whatever else.
Did it help?
Pain, yeah. Yeah, it didn't help, but the pain wasn't so bad. It made things worse. Life was worse, but the pain wasn't there.
Where did you live when you came over here?
Oh, shelters. See, where I'm at, I've been 16 months.
Are you on any drugs now?
No. I do. I got my card for marijuana.
Okay.
From the government.
Okay. So how do you get by? You say you sell the papers. What else is your income?
Oh well, I do some readings of my work when I write too. I went to the Writers' Festival again the second year in a row this year to read one of my stories, and that supplements my income a little.
Okay.
And when I have things published, the paper supplements my effort.
How did you find out you had the talent to write?
Oh, when I was a kid and I was up to no good, I'd run away every now and then, and I'd land back home and I'd tell the boys stories of my travels out into the world, and we would talk about writing a book, and I had a title, Black Era, blah blah blah. And so there was times all throughout my life when I thought about, I'm going to get a movie, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Right.
So I ended up in prison in Montreal, and life wasn't very good. Being English and no French at all, I was in a French prison. So it was hard on the Englishman, and then it was 1999, so the year 2000 was just coming up and they were having a contest. And it was the first time I ever really wrote anything for anybody to look at since probably grade 8, because I never went to high schools. And they were having a contest on what the year 2000 meant to you, and you could write a story, you could write a poem, whatever. And so I decided I'm going to submit an English poem to this French poetry contest, because everything was in French. And, you know, they say miracles are something that happens that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I should not have won that contest, but I did. I won a French poetry contest with an English poem, and that was the first time I realized the power of the words and what I can do with them, you know. I mean, I look back and I can say that now. At the time, I was just so happy that, you know, and it proved to me that I was more than what I was, and I had to, something had to give. And so I pursued that a few years later again when I started to do my podcast. And it wasn't that I thought I had a talent for it, but I never told anybody about the letter when my mother left. I never told anybody about giving my dad the bat that he took and never came back. If I hadn't given him a bat, what do you have got? You know, the guilt behind that, the guilt behind reading the letter and not telling anybody. And so now I'm telling people. And it's, so that's why I'm writing. That's why I'm writing the stories I'm working on now. Just to get rid of that guilt of giving him the bat. You know, 13-year-old, you know, I've been carrying that around.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he read it, the letter. I mean, he was gone. My grandmother, my aunt, whoever came, he might not even read the letter. I don't know.
He just knew she was gone and he was going to go get her.
And then when he come for the bat.
With whatever means possible. Wow.
And then when I did my podcast and started talking about this stuff, it just was so freed me up, you know. And then the guy I did my podcast with said, start to write. Start to write, because I wanted him to help me. And he said, no, you start writing. Write some short stories, write, then come see me.
It's the only way to do it, isn't it?
That's what I'm doing.
So you took the course at SFU.
Yeah.
And that must have really solidified your...
No, it was a waste of time.
Really?
For me.
Okay.
For me. Like I said, I never went to high school. I'm not into... I just write what goes on in my head. I don't know nothing about wordsmith. This guy beside me is a wordsmith. This one's doing a documentary. I don't know nothing about that. I just write in my head and I put it on paper.
Up until you found you could write, what was your self-esteem like? What did you think of yourself? What kind of value did you place on Kris Cronk?
Well, I thought I was unique, one of a kind, better than everybody else. But the reason I thought that was because deep down inside I felt, not that I knew it, I felt that I wasn't worthy. But to cover up inside myself all these, now I'm not worthy, I delusions of grandeur, you know? And that's what pushed me forward and kept me moving on. Instead of just wallowing in how nasty I am and all the things I've done. So I put myself on a pedestal to continue, because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to continue. I hated myself.
And then you found you could write, you found you started getting that there were things you did that had value.
Well, I'm just talking my life, not just, you know, just putting it out there, talking about it, writing it down, hearing it. And with all that, I've been looking back at my life in a different way. And I've seen things that are having a hindsight thing, you know, and I look back on it now and it's not so bad, you know. I won a French poetry contest with English poem and throwing it, you know, I got a legacy. I threw in the first pitch, you know.
Yeah.
I've done public speaking. I have friends now.
And it's because of a craft that you never thought you had.
Another way, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself in 5-10 years?
You know, the future's a funny thing, and I want to be a motivational speaker, if you can believe that. Yeah. I don't know what kind of motivation, but you know, I want to be motivated. Yeah.
Do you see yourself in the downtown east side?
Talking to people, encouraging people, the right people. Yeah, yeah.